Okay, Aria, are you gonna help today? You can be a good helper. Thank you so much. So tell me how I literally forgot that I needed to film a video, because it's currently Thursday evening and I was just like, oh, I'm done. Like, work's done for the day. What am I gonna have for dinner? Like, let me go and like sit and chill for a little bit before I need to like make dinner and do all of that. And then I'm like, you didn't film a video. I was like so set in my head that it was literally Wednesday and I'm like, oh, I have time. No, I'm crusty. It is like the end of the day. My hair is so dirty. I don't even know what to like, but whatever, we're gonna have to roll with it because like I said, I literally need to film this video. So let's see, I'm here to do Kindle Unlimited standalones that you need to read. So last week I did series, like bingeable series in Kindle Unlimited. I'd say probably like 95% of the books that I read are in Kindle Unlimited. So I have like nothing but Kindle Unlimited recommendations. So I ended up splitting it up and doing series last week, and now I have standalones. So if you just want like a quick one-off, you want a complete story, you don't want like any more series to be adding to your currently reading, then I have a bunch of standalones here for you. So I tried to pick some that maybe like I haven't talked about in a while. Obviously some of my favorites I included in here. You know, I try to always pick like a variety, but you know, depending on how many videos of mine that you've watched, you might have seen these in other recommendation videos. But if you're like me, sometimes it takes someone talking to you about a book like 2, 3, or 4 times before you pick it up. So let's go ahead and jump on in here. So the first one, should I just start from the top of the stack? Let's just do it. Let's go with the Unrequited by Saffron Kent. This has been a tried and true rec from me for years. I love this book right here. This book right here is one of my favorite student teacher books of all time. And this is Layla and Thomas's story. So Layla is a student at this one university, and she ends up noticing Thomas, our hero, one day, and she just becomes obsessed with him. And when I say obsessed, I mean she literally stalks him. So this is in fact also a stalker romance. And Thomas is a professor at the university. Layla is not one of his students. However, Layla decides that she's just going to start showing up to his class, and he knows that she's not signed up, and he kind of knows that she's starting to become obsessed with him, but he kind of likes it a little bit. But Thomas is a grumpy asshole. Let me tell you, this guy's a dick, but oh my god, he's like so hot. I love Thomas. This book is not going to be for everyone though. There is cheating in it. Don't worry, I have books like with no cheating, but if you do like that little extra messiness and extra secrecy on top of them being student and teacher and not supposed to be together, then oh, you got to check this one out. So good. My favorite from Saffron Kent. Oh, I just realized that this one isn't a standalone. Okay, we will put that one back there. I was going to talk about Vibe, but that's actually, even though like it's like not a continuous story, there is a second book in the Pandora's Box series. So actually, and I'm really trying to stick to just like straight up standalone. So actually, sorry Vibe, you don't get to be talked about today. But next, let's go ahead and talk about Unconditional by QB Tyler. This was just the easiest book to grab off of my shelves. This is not the original cover. This is a special edition one, but I straight up didn't want to dig under my stack to grab the other one. But this one is one of her most taboo ones. So if you're looking for something a little forbidden, then look no further with this one. So this one follows Cal and Maddie. So when Maddie is like a child, I don't remember how old she is, her dad kills her mother and then himself, or they die. I'm pretty sure it was some sort of situation, whatever. Her parents are both dead, and the first responding police officer on the scene is Cal, and he's like very new to the job, whatever, and he ends up finding Maddie, and she instantly kind of like clings to him. And now that she has literally no family to go with, he ends up becoming her guardian. And then when she gets older, she starts getting a crush on him. And yes, it is Guardian Ward. And yes, it's a big age gap. Yes, it's taboo. I don't care. I love it in a book. And Cal tries to deny Maddie's advances, but he doesn't do that very well or for long. And eventually they start getting into a relationship together, and that's their book. And it's just super hot. I mean, if you know anything about QB's books, you just know you're getting a super spicy fun time, and Cal and Maddie's story is no exception to that. Now you want a little bit of a heartbreaker. I would not classify this one as a traditional HEA, so you have been warned. But I love this book with my entire heart and soul, and that is Where the Mountains Meet the Sea by A.R. Breck. This was one of my top books that I read last year. If you know, you know. So this one follows Roman and Luna, and it is truly the epitome of soulmates and like second chance childhood friends to lovers. rock star ballerina. The book first starts when they are children. Their parents move in next door to each other on a lake in Wisconsin. Shout out Wisconsin. And they grow up together, and they at first are like friends, and then when they get older, I think maybe in like middle school or high school, they start dating. And then Roman is a year older than Luna, so when he graduates, his band ends up getting an opportunity to go on tour. And Luna, though, has not graduated high school yet, so she can't go with him. And when he first initially goes, they agree, like, we're gonna make it work. And then, you know, just time and circumstances rip these two characters apart. And then so you're following them in their childhood as they're like falling in love, and then them being like ripped apart by their circumstances and career aspirations and everything else. And then again in adulthood when they get reconnected. This book truly just takes you on such a journey. It is so emotional. It's devastating. It's beautifully written. These characters are the epitome of soulmates, and you can feel their connection. It's not one of those that you're just reading these two characters connect, you're feeling them connect. It's beautifully done. Truly, I can't say enough good things about this book, but like I said, you have been warned that it's not a traditional HEA, but I absolutely love this book. Next up, one of my top books of this year. It's probably gonna end up on my top 10. I mean, obviously those things are not decided, because like Where the Mountains Meet the Sea was the last minute edition. I read that at like the end of November. So, you know, no list is set in stone until it's actually time to do it. But That's a Glove by Jessie Hall is probably gonna end up on there because this is amazing. And another stalker romance, but so much darker than the Unrequited. Like Layla is, yeah, she's a stalker, but she's just kind of like, I'm a stalker. Arrow's like, I'm a stalker. You know, he's like, ooh, up in your face, up in your business, really pushing Brienne. Anyways, this one follows Arrow and Brienne. So Brienne is in a cult. She's been raised in a cult, and she is trying to ascend to a leadership position, which is like very rare. There are like no women leaders in this cult, and she's like, it's my calling. Like she's very excited that she gets to do this and have this opportunity and like what have you. That's like really where she's at. But then she, right at the beginning of this book, you know, that she's starting to get like little notes here and there and things from her stalker, which is Arrow. So this is not like a slow burner kind of stalker. I mean, it's slow burn romance, or slowish burn. But the stalker aspect, like Arrow is up in her business stalking her right away, and he's not like staying back and kind of like taunting her. He's like in her face, leaving her notes, confronting her. He's very involved. And I don't really want to give anything else away with Arrow's backstory at all. I do think that this is one that you just need to read to experience. I don't want to spoil anything, but it is dark, it's heavy, it's messed up. These two, the enemy, or it's not even like enemies to lovers, because they're never like really truly enemies, I feel like, but Brienne just has a lot of like reckoning to do, and Arrow is there to help her along with it. And it's just so good. These two are like explosive together. They're so fun to read and so dynamic, and I just absolutely love them. So if you have not read That Sick Love yet, you definitely need to be checking it out. Okay, next up, A Place Without You by Julianne. So this one, I was about to say is another standalone, but obviously this is a standalone's video. So this one I read earlier this year, and I really, really enjoyed it a lot. So it is a bit of a forbidden one as well. It's a guidance counselor and student romance. However, our heroine is, I think she's like 19 years old because there was an accident, so she was held back a year in school. So while she's finishing school, she's still like, I think she's 19. Our hero and heroine originally meet at a music festival, and they have a great weekend together. They have a lot of fun together, and they are just kind of like kindred spirits, you know? But after the festival ends and they both go their different ways, it's kind of like, okay, we'll just like see if we ever somehow can like meet up again, whatever, but like probably won't ever happen. And then when our heroine arrives at school, she finds out that he is the new guidance counselor, and he finds out that he was involved. I mean, I don't think they hooked up, right? They didn't hook up. I think they just, you know, but like he was involved with a student, and immediately he's like, oh no, like I need this job, whatever. And then they also realize that they live near each other and whatever. So their relationship kind of goes from there. And this one's really emotional. Our heroine has a lot of things that she needs to kind of work through and deal with regarding that accident that happened and other things. And then also our hero, he has a lot of responsibilities outside of his job with his family's farm and which like, I know you guys are probably like, are you talking about a farm? And like me talking about a farm? Because y'all know, like, I don't want anything small towny or whatever, but actually it really works. He's got like horses and stuff, and it's like more like a lot of land, you know, that he has to help his father take care of. I believe his father is in a wheelchair, and like, so he needs help like taking care of the grounds and stuff, and a lot of that responsibility falls on him, and he really takes that responsibility seriously. So he knows that he can't lose his job because he needs to help support his dad. And you also realize then like why he feels like he has to really like take on all of these extra burdens. So anyways, it is so good, very emotional. Really enjoyed this one, and I really like Julianne's writing in it. Next up, I have Without You by Marley Valentine, another one that I read this year and really enjoyed. So this one, so it's a brother's ex romance, but the brother's dead. So anyways, let's jump into it. So our two heroes in this one, so one of them, his brother passes away, and you know that like right at the beginning of the book, and you see like in the aftermath of the funeral and everything, and he's trying to comfort his brother's ex who's left behind, and the two of them just like never really connected, never really got along a lot. Like they aren't really enemies, but they were really never friends, and now they're kind of left both grieving over the same person and kind of connecting over that. After the funeral, they end up just trying to like have a moment of connection, but truly they both need to like go their own separate ways and grieve. And years later, the brother, the one hero, ends up finding his way back home with the family, and he gets connected back with his brother's ex, and they both start to kind of like work through some of their reasons of why they never really got along or never really liked each other that much. And as they start doing that, they realize that they both are starting to have feelings for each other, but neither of them really want to like go that extra step because of the memory of the one's ex and the one's brother, you know? Like they don't want to cross that boundary, and it's even harder because like the brother isn't there to give them his blessing to like be happy and be together. So anyways, it ends up being their romance. Again, it's like angsty, it's emotional. Again, another really solid one. And I listened to the audio, and Teddy Hamilton is a narrator on one of the heroes. So if you are looking for a good audiobook, this one was on my Hoopla. So definitely check it out. I listened to almost like the whole thing while I was putting together all of my new bookcases, because it's a fairly short audiobook too. Okay, next up we got Doesn't Hurt by H.D. Carlton. So this one is an enemies to lovers romance. This one, what are their names? Sawyer and something. Anyways, our heroine is on the run. She's on the run for things that you will learn if you pick up the book, and to help fund her lifestyle on the run and not being able to like reveal her identity, she steals people's identities. And when I think is it in Australia she's in maybe, or somewhere around there, she ends up finding this one man out. They hit it off. He takes her home. They have a great night. And when he wakes up in the morning, she's gone, and he's like, you know what? Cool. We had a great night, you know, one night stand kind of deal, whatever. But then he realizes that he is missing some important documents and that she has stolen his identity. And he immediately is like raging. He's like, I'm gonna find her. So he does end up finding her. And oh, is he pissed. And he ends up getting her out onto his boat and takes her out into the middle of the ocean. And I don't know what he was originally planning, if he was just trying to scare her, whatever. They end up having some interesting interactions out on the boat, but then a storm comes in and they cannot get back to land, and the boat ends up capsizing, and they end up stuck on this little lighthouse island with this creepy little innkeeper man for like a month until the supply boat comes in, because the supply boat only comes once a month. And when they are there, they're stuck with only themselves and this creepy lighthouse keeper man, and they start hearing some weird shit and start like noticing some weird things around, and they really have to decide, like, are we actually going to be enemies here even though we truly hate each other, or are we going to like kind of depend on each other for survival? And it ends up being their romance. So yeah, definitely creepy. I couldn't finish this book at night because it kind of scared me a little bit, but also I'm a baby, so like take that with a grain of salt. But it's definitely a little spooky ooky. So if you're looking for something a little more like scary for like the season that we're heading into, you know, like October, Halloween time, a good one to check out. And also love this cover. I realized that I forgot to grab this other one off my bookcase. I was like, why am I missing one on here? But I don't feel like standing up and going out there to get it. So instead I'll just insert the little picture here, right? Yeah, I didn't grab it. So that is going to be Lessons in Sin by Pam Godwin. Now hear me out. So technically this is a part of the Midnight Dynasty world, but you do not have to read any of the other Midnight Dynasty books in order to understand this one. It's just a world that a bunch of authors wrote books in. So this one is featured in that. However, there's no like big reading order like that you have to follow, and like Pam Godwin doesn't have any more books with them. It's truly like a standalone in her collection. This one follows Tinsley and Father Magnus. So Tinsley comes from a very wealthy family, a very socially like important family, and she, as being their only daughter, she's been getting herself into a little bit of trouble, and her mom doesn't like that. She doesn't want Tinsley kind of like bringing down the image of them, so she ends up sending her to a Catholic all-girls school to kind of keep her away from men and kind of try to keep her in line a little bit. And when Tinsley shows up, she's very defiant, and there she meets Father Magnus, who immediately spots her as being like a bit of a shit stirrer, and he's like, oh no, she's not gonna like pull that over on me. However, we learn that Father Magnus is actually a reformed billionaire playboy turned priest at this school, and he used to have some certain disciplining techniques, and whenever Tinsley starts acting out of line, he's ready to enforce them. And yeah, Tinsley immediately clocks him and is like, I want him and I'm gonna get him, and it ends up being their romance. So it's definitely forbidden and taboo, but anyways, I really love this one. It's a lot of fun, and yeah, just go read it. So anyways, sorry, I feel like this was like a shit show of a video and not like probably it's not gonna be as good as like I maybe wanted it to be, but honestly, like I said, I just have to get it done. So anyways, that is it for today's video. Next week is already TBR and wrap up time, so we're already getting to the end of the month here. So anyways, that is it for today's video, and I will see you when I see ya.